Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rat Radio. I'm Big Wizard. I'm an amateur content creator on YouTube and Twitch. And joined with me is my co host.
Jay Easy. I'm a casual gamer and kind of the sidekick to Big Wizard.
I think he kind of nailed it with the casual gamer because that's what we kind of are. This is a Tarkov influenced podcast, mostly talking about just Tarkov today and in the future, mostly just Tarkov. And we are casual gamers. We are not good gamers. But, so I don't know why you're listening to us. Hopefully, we're touching some things. We got a couple big things we want to talk about. Um, our very first topic we want to talk about is from the casual perspective, how much YouTubers and content creators are changing the way Tarkov is played. And we last wipe, there was some stuff that kind of got affected, but in this wipe particular, there's a couple things that have happened very recently that have just kind of messed with us.
We noticed it first on Shoreline, correct?
Oh my god, yeah.
'Cause
Shoreline was our map.
that was our favorite map
That
at the
was
end of last swipe.
yes, it was our like map that we just loved to run. We knew we're all like we had it down to a science. Like we did our own in-game trial and error research. We knew where the pathing was, where people would go, whether it was early wipe or late wipe, it wasn't too much difference. We knew where things were gonna happen. And then one day, we're like, why? Why are you go over there? Why is that PMC over by, freaking the crane at like over halfway through the raid? It just
And
random.
PMCs are just showing up in weird places at weird times that they weren't supposed to be there.
Like,
And if it was
yeah.
just like a one-off, we would have kind of shrugged it off. But then it happened like 3 raids in a row where there was like PMCs in places we weren't expecting to find PMCs.
Yeah,
And
like
then I thought about it and realized that I had just seen a big shoreline loot run tutorial on YouTube that just released the day before.
by the unofficial daddy of Tarkov, you could say, Pestily, Tarkov dad. His shoreline raid about caches and loot runs just changed the flow of the map overnight. It was ridiculous. Like, it's fine. I mean, but it just changed the way Shoreline was run. We no longer liked it. It actually ruined the map for us. We're like, I guess we're not gonna go back there this early in the wipe. Um,
And that wasn't the only map. A few
yeah,
days after that, we started liking the new woods map,
yeah.
which
New
was
Woods is
fantastic. We were
it's
getting a groove in there,
yeah.
learning the map. We had a path, and then Pestily again.
Yeah, dropped another guide. Like, hey, check out the
Yep.
New Woods map, and here's where you should go, and here's your pathing, and and I'm like, okay, well, there's two gone.
Yep.
And then,
Woods wasn't as bad, but it was still like there was places we were looting that were kind of just quiet loot spots. And then
yeah,
after the guide came out, they were like hot spots.
yeah, when we play Tarkov, we go into it with a plan. Like, okay, do we want to try to have this raid be quiet? We know where to go. Do we want to try to get into PvP? We know where to go. And granted, it's not like a 100% foolproof because, PMCs are human. They can go wherever they want. But really, players have tendencies because they run this over and over again and they go to the spots that they're familiar with and the spots that they know. And one very popular streamer can put out a guide and completely change the landscape, and it happened again. And then, do you want to talk about your little favorite run that's now changed?
Well, it happened to reserve after that,
Oh
which
yeah,
wasn't a big deal because we weren't running reserve as much.
in reserve you can run reserve lots of different ways, so it's
Yeah,
not a big deal.
so that wasn't too terrible. But then uh, I always run interchange when I run a scav, um, and I like hitting the caches around the border. And this wipe, I was noticing that the caches were always full. I was like hitting them every time and just good loot every run. And then all of a sudden, another guide comes out from Pestily. Here's some beginner 101 loot runs you can do where there's not a lot of PMC traffic, and now all of my caches are empty, and there's PMCs running around the edge of the map all of a sudden looking for these caches.
Yeah, when you release a guide and say that it's here's your, you know, low conflict chance to run these caches, and it doesn't really help when then everyone starts to run it.
Yeah.
Um it's not it's not your safe money making route when everyone does it. Um
And then, like 2 or 3 weeks after the guide's made, they're good beginner guides.
oh yeah.
But in that first week or 2, it's like, okay, you just kinda ruined that run for beginners because now everybody's doing it. You're gonna get into a fight if you try to run that route.
And it's you should be giving out guides for beginners cuz Tarkov does not hold your hand. It really just, you know, kicks you in the balls. It does. But the problem is you have to be kind of careful with your guides. Like if you tell everyone to go to this spot, then when you have the I don't know how many subscribers he has on YouTube or followers on Twitch, everyone goes to that spot. That's what's gonna happen. You know,
Yeah.
it's
And then it kinda becomes the new PvP zone for a little while.
yeah. You could actually that would be actually really interesting to have PvP on that part of the map on interchange. It'd be like mini woods up in the corner.
Yep. Up at Railway.
Yeah. Um. So it's not just um Tarkov Dad that's been doing this. We've noticed that other couple other occasional streamers will put out interesting things. Like Jesse Kazam put out a lot of gun builds last wipe, and every time he put out a gun build for like a budget, like hey, this is good solid stats for your money. It would no longer be good solid stats for your money because everybody would be buying it because Jesse Kazam built it. And after like maybe 3-4 weeks, it would die back down. But it's it was such a good intent.
Yeah, it's
But
like budget builds that aren't budget anymore. Unless you had, like, the vendors to where you could just buy the parts from the vendors.
yeah,
But, yeah, if you had to flea market it, as soon as that video came out, that budget build went from, like, a 40K build to, like, a 140K build.
yeah, definitely. And that's just again a streamer changing the landscape by accident. You know, that's not the intention. He was trying to make good quality videos for beginners. But then,
And they are good
yeah,
quality videos.
like they're good to go back to now. Now that the new wipes happened, although some of the parts have changed probably, but um, and like the review videos that streamers put out and content creators put out are good. They can help you make a decision. One of my favorite streamer or not streamers, well he streams, but one of my favorite content creators is Crashed. He does some awesome breakdowns, and he's really good at the game. But his breakdowns are just talking about like usually gun spreads on SMGs and stuff like that. And I was really on the fence of the UMP 45 if I wanted to like try using it more. I've tried a couple times, and then he really started to just break it down and like here's the gun spread, and you know here's the rough stats, and you compare it to like the MP5 and the other SMGs, and it's just not worth it, you know. And I was on the fence, and he convinced me to not try it because it is an over expensive SMG for what it is. So there are useful stuff out there that's not guides either, just like gun breakdowns. Um,
Even then, though, streamers are almost artificially changing meta.
oh, totally.
Because, like, you get a guide like one of Crashed guides that says the UMP is just not worth running, then does that show the developers, hey, I need to buff this gun? And then are they buffing it based on in-game performance or because a
Yeah.
streamer said this gun's not worth it, it needs a buff?
What's kind of interesting about that video that he put out, is he mentioned that in real life, the UMP was supposed to be the budget alternative to the
To the
MP5.
MP5. I saw that
But
too.
in Tarkov, it is more expensive than MP5. That would actually be really interesting if the developers took that to heart and made it cheaper. You know, uses a different round. It's got a worse stats, lower rate of fire. It's like barely moddable. Um, if you made it the cheaper Peacekeeper weapon, maybe it would have like a little bit of a place. So maybe or no one will pay attention to Crashed, and they'll go like, yeah, it's fine.
There's a lot of people still running them, so
It's not broken, you know.
it's
Don't
always
fix it.
better to release something underpowered and then buff it later than to release something overpowered and then
Yeah, the
have a
cries
big
for buffs
stink
aren't as
about it.
bad as the cry for nerfs. The Mosin was the big case of that. When the
Well, the KS-23 was the recent one.
oh yeah, got it. KS-23 was so much fun when it came right out. Oh, those star rounds, they needed. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a little ridiculous.
Are there any other streamers or guides that you think kind of pop into your head that are maybe misinterpreted or like? Because the thing is a lot of these guides that are geared towards new players are almost geared towards like the medium skill level, the high skill level people. They just don't realize it because a lot of the streamers have been playing Tarkov like so many hours a week and have been playing through so many wipes that their skill level and map knowledge is just astronomical. So they take things for granted. You
They
know,
try to dumb down their videos, but they don't dumb them down far enough.
yeah.
Like some of the map guides I've been watching, they move through the map so fast I can't
Oh god, yeah.
look at landmarks and stuff. Like I don't see the landmarks because they're just flying through. And it's like, oh, okay, he went from here to here in like 5 seconds. So those two rooms are like right next to each other. And then when I play the map, I go through a hallway. I'm like, where's that room? It was like they were like right
Yeah.
next to each other, but no, it's all the way down the hall and around the corner. And he just went through it so fast.
Yeah, and a
I
lot of the
didn't realize that.
yeah, and a lot of the guides try to cover everything.
Yeah,
You know,
all in one 20-minute speed
like
cruise through the map.
like all I want to learn about, guys, is White Pawn. Can you guys make me a video about White Pawn? Like,
Yeah,
you know, but no, I have to try to sift through and find all the other stuff. So actually, that gives me a really good idea. I'll write that one down for later. It's very get specific with the guides. Um, I know you mentioned in our show notes, Tweak and his guides, and I think he falls into
oh
that category of his guides are awesome, but if you're a new player, you don't know what's going on.
yeah, I watched his shoreline guide. With all of like I was trying to find lead X's last wipe, and I watched his guide, and again he cruised through shoreline. I didn't even know what floor he was on half the time. He was going through so fast, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, if I tried to hit all of this stuff in shoreline, I'd be dead. Like there's
Or out of time.
yeah. Well, shoreline's just such a hot spot. Like it was like here's your guide to shoreline, and like the majority of players, I think in the show notes I said like that guide's like for the 1%. There's 1% of players that could run that guide reliably.
Yeah, it's definitely not
But
geared
it's
towards.
maybe
Yeah,
higher than that, but
it's not geared
um
towards the introduction like
yeah.
player.
Like
Like
me as a player, if I try to run that guide, I won't make it 3 rooms and I'll get into a gunfight and my whole thing will be thrown off and like
yeah.
I'll get in there, I'll do like one floor of one wing and then I'm getting out of there cuz it's just
So
insane.
um kind of moving on a little bit away from the streamers because like we could talk about streamers forever because there's so I mean like there are tons of content videos out there and from the really great players to like the meme stuff to like General Sam, Aqua, FPS, those are some of my favorite guys actually. um to like I don't know if you've ever seen the Xfil podcast. Those guys are actually pretty cool too, but they're really free form stuff. But streamers aside and them affecting the gameplay, how do the maps feel right now? I am reinvigorating my hate for customs because of so many early tasks force you onto customs over and over and over again. And I'm going to hate it again all over.
Yeah, even after customs, like I would have hate to play when customs was like the original customs because it
Oh,
was even
yeah.
narrower.
Before the expansion, yeah. Ooh,
Yeah, and
there's so,
even with the expansion now, it's like you can't make it across that map without a fight,
it's hard.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But like if you're just trying to do quests and you're like a newer player or like a casual like me who if I'm trying to do a quest, I don't want to get into a fight. I want to get in, sneak around, get my stuff, and get out.
Yeah, that first couple of days was pocket watch hell. Everybody
Yeah,
was trying to do the proper pocket watch. And you would just walk by like there's dead PMCs like oh,
yeah. It's just just a big battlefield, like dead people everywhere. We weren't even there for Pocket Watch the one time, and we were just like, because that used to be the quiet way to get through the map,
Yeah.
like last wipe,
Yeah,
is you'd
last
go
wipe.
through
Yeah, it was so
construction.
funny. Like last swipe at the end, if you wanted to get through customs quietly, you went down the center as best as possible.
Yeah,
Um,
and early wipe, this wipe is like there
to
was
go
gunfighting
dorms.
there like 2 minutes in.
Yeah, if you want to get through customs right now, you almost have to go between dorms and the road. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of the way if you want to get across to the other side of the map for a task.
even that's
So
risky.
I do love like the interesting things that can happen in customs though. Like there's some fun places to fight. There really is. I still don't really like the wood side for fighting. The we call it vodka room, but what is it now called by most people? Skeleton, I think, or the new
I don't know the
construction
call outs
area.
on custom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the new construction area. That's a fun place to get into fights. It's also a nerve wracking place when you're inside there and people start shooting from outside in. And you're like trying to figure out which way to bail, or to try to post back up. Because I don't know how many times we've killed people shooting from the outside in when they didn't realize that we could see them through all those freaking holes up top or the giant doorways on the sides. Um, and then the meth house, crack house, whatever you want to call it. It always seems to be hit before I get there, but
Hmm.
you can almost hole up there on the second floor, and you have a really good vantage point again. Like it's a fun place to get some like mid range fights going. The whole place.
Even some of the loot spots are really nice. It's just they're hit so fast.
Yeah, it's like it's weird. I almost wish Rashala was a 100% spawn rate on the map. You know, because the high value loot gets soaked up, and then you have to work so hard to get scraps on customs.
Hmm.
Um, that I kind of wish Rashala was there just to pull the because like if you know Rashala is spawning on the map, okay, he spawns at what the military checkpoint, dorms either one, uh, new gas, new construction. I think that is there another one?
I don't think he spawns old gas anymore. I think he used to.
Yeah, I don't think I ever fought one when he was there, so I can't say that for sure. But like if you knew Rashala was 100% on this map, it would make traversing it really interesting. Um, and it would make like people could go just hunt Rashala, and because customs, while it's kind of a big map because it's so linear, you're usually never that far from somebody that starts a gunfight. So whenever someone fights Rashala, you can hear it. Like
Hmm.
almost like sound cues where that's at. Like, oh, that's gas station. Oh, that's over at dorms. You can hear it go off. Um, but customs is customs. I mean, there's all matter from like low looted people to sweaty boys running around with full gear and stuff. So Shoreline, I haven't really been back since the route changes.
I've been pistol running Shoreline a lot, just because I've been looking for like certain loot and stuff and levels, and then a couple of quests I've had there. But yeah, I prefer to pistol run it just because it's
You
really hard to figure out the map right now.
Yeah, there's no confidence in where the routes are anymore.
Like I did two pistol runs on the same day. One of them I went up to the weather station and I got into a fight. There was already a fight there because there's bodies, and then I got into a fight there, and then as I was fighting the one guy, we got third partied by two more. So there's at least six, like, and I spawned behind. I think I spawned the road to, was it road to customs? So I wasn't that far
Okay.
away from weather, and I pretty much went
Yeah.
straight up there. And I had signal. That's the reason I was up there. I had signal part one, so I had to go find the satellite dish. I wasn't even up there for the loot. I just wanted that satellite, and um, yeah, it was just crazy. Like six PMCs up there, and then two runs later, I ran up there, and I ran up there because I had to get the satellite on resort, and I didn't want to go early and get into a fight. So I'm like, oh, I'll go see if weather's been looted. And I get up there, nothing was touched. I spent a whole bunch of time up there looting all the drawers. Not a single PMC went up there. It's just weird.
Yeah,
It's just so
it's
hard
so
to
weird.
predict that map. Like I hate to take gear in because it seems like every time I take gear in, I'm dead within the first 2 minutes. If I
Which
pistol
is
run and
weird.
die in 2 minutes, it's not that big a deal.
Because like Shoreline, it used to be you had the people that rushed Resort, and then you had the people that usually like rushed the Sanitar locations, and then you just had some casual like scav hunters. Like that's kind
Yeah,
of the way it used to be. Now it's all over the place. Like
yeah.
PvPers are going everywhere. They're hunting people. The cash runners are going in weird directions, and yeah, it's just weird.
I almost
Um,
hate Village now because the Village seems like there's more PMC fights there than I ever saw last wipe.
yeah, I mean, let me guess. There was like a
Village
new
used to kind
jacket. Was there a new jacket guide that came out or something?
of. I don't know. Actually, that was part of
Oh
Pestyly's
god.
Shoreline
Of course.
stash run.
Of course.
Yeah,
Hit all the
it was the
jackets in the
stashes along the
village.
one side and the jackets along the other.
Oh god dang it, Pestily. God dang it,
So that
Tarkov
might
dad.
explain that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate spawning. I spawn between cottages and village, and I went village side. I was trying to get down to tunnel to mark the
Okay.
ambulances, and I didn't make it 30 seconds into the raid, and somebody was already shooting at me from village.
It's crazy. Oh, it's crazy. Um yeah, I haven't been back to Shoreline since because I don't have any tasks there yet. Although I'm getting close to getting some. I didn't get the freaking signal one yet because I'm behind on a lot of tasks. Um Reserve? It's been I don't it hasn't really felt different.
I
I don't
wouldn't.
know.
I would say it's been a little hotter than I prefer. I feel like there's a lot more. People aren't going for raiders as much. I feel like they're going for the PMC kills.
Yeah, I feel like
I feel like last swipe you could creep around a little more in the buildings, and now anyone hears a footstep or a gunshot, they're rushing that location. It
I,
seems
f-
like.
I feel like the bunker system, people have gotten more used to it now. But that's the only thing I feel different. Like I used to barely run into PMCs in the bunker. Like I'd go down there, occasionally you'd see someone come ahead of you, but all the talks of like camping D2, like we ran into a camper like one time, you know, but we're not getting out right away. We're using our timer pretty good. This wipe, we've ran into a lot more fights downstairs. A lot more. That's the only thing I've really noticed different. Um,
We were talking that the scav spawns were higher downstairs. It seems like this
yeah.
wipe too.
Like last wipe, I barely ran into any scavs down there. And this wipe, it's like all of a sudden I'll go down to the map room and there'll be like four scavs. Like,
Yeah,
or raiders. I'm running into
yeah.
raiders a lot down there. Like every now and then I'll like going down Black Bishop, I think. There'll be raiders down there between like the bishops and kings down in that corner. That metal area with the stairs. Um, but
I
otherwise,
had a
I don't.
raid
It doesn't
just
feel too
a little
different.
while ago.
Doesn't feel
Yeah,
too different though. Um,
yeah. It's pretty close to how it was last wipe. I think there's a little more. Like I think people are hunting kills a little harder right
little
now than
harder.
they were at the end of last wipe.
Yeah. Um. So, God, the other maps all feel kind of pretty similar except for New Woods, because New Woods feels like a fun place now for me. You can.
I'm really liking the New Woods map.
It is a quieter time now, except for the hotspots, and the hotspots are kind of fun.
Yeah,
Like the new outpost that's there in the middle of the old woods, like where there was a giant empty field and now there's a giant outpost there. We've gotten to a lot of interesting fights right there. Some good ones and some not so good ones, but the loot is so random over there too. You know.
yeah. There's been some good loot on Woods. I think that's what makes it interesting now. Is there is loot on Woods?
Yeah.
Because
You got
last wipe is like you got Sherman and the sawmill, and other than that, there's
and the sawmill wasn't even good loot. Like volume wise. If
well,
you're
you had
by
like the three cabins, you had that other hut,
yeah,
you
but
had some
if
stuff
you're by
inside.
yourself, sure. But if you had like a two people, or if you had three people, you're not filling up with the lumber mill.
Yeah,
You know. Um And the marked circle, the outside marked circle, never really had anything, not much, anyways. This time though, like there's the USEC camp is so much. Like there will be stuff left over after like groups come through. Um, the scav, I don't know, storage unit.
The bunker down there.
Yeah, the scav
Yeah,
bunker and the
bunker.
storage units across the road. That's some good loot there. And a lot of scav kills there. The sunken village has got some loot all over the place. The abandoned village actually has some amazing loot that people are not going and getting. Um, like there's so it's actually a really heavy loot map. I've gotten out full on shoreline or not shoreline on woods a ton. I feel like interchange is just interchange. I don't think that's really changed at all. I think it's pretty much the same thing.
Yep, I think so too. There might it might be a little more spread out. I've noticed the Goshen and Ollie. There's a lot more fights there rather than in the mall
Okay.
because A, people are going for hideout loot,
Yeah, that's an early
and
wipe, definitely.
yep, and B, I don't know how many people have their Kiba keys yet.
Yeah. Well, and that light bulbs are now down to normal price. In the beginning of the wipe, they were just like
Yeah,
50K.
it was almost not worth going to Kiba early wipe because you could go grab 10
Yeah.
light bulbs out of what that tech store upstairs or whatever and
Yeah.
make
Um,
your whole loot run.
factory needs there's gonna be a factory expansion, right? Was that said at one point in time? That I
Um,
think that needs to happen sooner than later.
I hope they don't expand it too much though. I guess still needs to
If
be
they
a
can,
smaller
if
map.
they
They
can
just
get
need
the
to,
spawns to least like break line of sight more,
yeah,
because that glass hallway
yeah. You
and
spawn that glass hallway, you got a PMC to both sides, and yeah.
yeah,
Even I've been spawning a lot, um, kind of off by one of the extracts. I don't know
um,
the map that well, but
yeah,
and like as soon as the glass hallway fight's done, somebody runs down the hallway to that other spot or that other location, and yeah, it's a
yeah,
constant gunfight. And scavs are super aggressive on factory right now.
yeah.
Every single time I've spawned factory, within the first 10 seconds of the raid, there's a scav rushing me. It's been weird.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I haven't been doing much factory at all. Just because I've been honestly like outside of tasks, factory doesn't appeal to me right now. Like I don't I mean, stirrup is something that maybe I'll try to do factory just to get stirrup done. But there's not a lot of loot there.
Yeah.
Unless you're
See, I
trying
was
to kill
doing I
PMCs
was
and
doing
scavs.
yeah, I was doing stirrup and then the control panel ones where you have to fix the control panels. So I was just pistol running it and in like 6 or 7 raids, I must have killed almost 15 scavs and 1 PMC.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just crazy. And then I actually finished my stirrup quest on customs and well,
Oh, I'm lost you there for a second. I think we're good now. Um,
okay.
so I guess the maps really haven't changed too much, except for the way Shoreline feels, and New Woods is obviously amazing. Um, let's see here. What should we talk about next? One thing
Well,
I
I was
want.
just talking about stirrup. Do we want to go into our favorite moments?
Let's finish with our favorite
Yes.
moments. But one thing I do want to touch base on is
Okay.
the amount of free gear that we got this wipe.
Mm.
Um, I just I don't know. I don't agree with it. I think it we lost the early wipe and the mid wipe feeling with all the Christmas gifts and the proper care package and the Twitch drops. Um, like I didn't participate in Twitch drops as much as the average player. I just kind of got a couple. Um, but people were posting on the Facebook groups on how much stuff they've gotten and the keys and some Red Rebels on a couple people and all this stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, it's just ridiculous on how much I think it vaulted the amount of gear and money. Um,
Hmm.
that just kind of pushed us outside of the mid wipe, early wipe kind of phase.
Yeah, it definitely devalued some of the early wipe gear like P.A.K.A.s and SKSs. Like nobody's running SKSs this wipe.
Packers were pretty much pointless. Like in
Yeah, right
even
from the
most
get go.
there was so much BP ammo given with the Christmas gift that like level 3 armor was like, you know,
Yep. Like week two,
yeah.
might as well get rid of class 2 and 3
Yeah,
armor
I'm
already.
trying to run level 4 and even then that's not like the greatest. But I'm trying to. I'm try like I think I ran Packers that first day and then I ran press armors and level 3s like the second third days and then like if it's not class 4 it's almost not worth having. If it comes back in insurance I'll throw it on, but that's about it. You
Yeah,
know.
I haven't purchased any armor yet this wipe.
Oh, I have, but that's because I want to keep running class 4s.
Yeah, I almost should just sell because I've been getting armor back. I've got like 2 press armors that keep coming back, and then I sold off the P.A.K.A.s finally because I'm like I'm not even. There's no point in running them.
Yeah.
I'll get the 20K I can get from selling it to Ragman, and
So besides the armor changes, is there anything you're really doing different this wipe gear wise? Like I know it's still early for both of us because we play a lot slower than most, like level wise. Um, like for me, when I started first wipe, I didn't run ears because I thought they were too expensive. And then when I got to the point where I did run ears, I ran like sword-ins or tac sports or like the nicer ones. And this one, I'm like, I was so annoyed that I didn't have ears because I played all the end of the last wipe with ears. I was so annoyed that I bought GSSHs. And then I'm actually like, man, I can hear everything. I know it sounds like gravel in a blender, but I can hear everything. So now I'm addicted and I have options of buying other ones now. I still buy GSSHs.
I don't think I've done a raid yet without ears this wipe,
Yeah, I
which
can't
is
see
completely
myself.
different
Yeah.
than last wipe. I was like level 20 before I even put a set of ears on because I was like, oh, they're expensive, they're late game. It's like I don't need them. And now that I've played last wipe with ears, it's like no, I gotta have GSSHs. That's actually how I actually got my money for Ragman up. So I just bought a whole bunch of GSSHs because I knew I'd use them.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm gonna leave GSSHs though. Like I don't think I'm gonna go back to tax sports or any other ones.
I think I might go back to Comtex, just because if it's raining or if we're in like
Yeah.
a 4 man or a 5 man, it gets really hard to decipher different sounds. It's just
Yeah.
noise at that point. Um, but yeah, if you're solo or a duo, I like GSSHs. It just amplifies everything. You
Oh,
don't miss
yeah.
anything.
You don't miss. Yeah, you're right. You don't miss a
Yeah,
single person coming up on you.
yeah. It's loud and obnoxious, but you'll hear it.
Sometimes it's hard to tell how close they actually are because they can be
Yeah,
pretty freaking far away in a gunfight, and you're like, is that like the next hall over?
yeah.
You know, that's literally the next building over, and you get used to them pretty quick. Do you use any specific guns right now? I know it's early, so it's kind of like use what you get, but
Yeah, I've been kind of using whatever drops into my inventory, except for basically if it's worth more than 30 grand to sell it to a vendor, I'll dump it just for the money. And then I'll
gotcha.
run anything that will sell for like 20K or less. So a lot of shotguns this wipe. Which buckshot was doing pretty good for me, the Magnum buck for
It's cheap
quite
too,
a while.
easy to
Yeah.
make. You get to make it
Yep.
right away. Like it's workshop level 1. Like that's just
Yep. So yeah,
yeah.
I made probably 3 sets of Magnum buck, and it served me pretty well for a while. But now I think we're getting to a point where Magnum buck just isn't.
Yeah, I mean, you have to start not aiming at the body. You can't
Yeah.
aim center mass, which is unfortunate. I've heard a lot of people say, "Yeah, Magnum Buck still works. Just shoot at the groin." Sometimes you can hit like leg or stomach leg and get
Yep.
a couple bleeds going at once, and then it's like, "Oh man."
Yeah. I that could get brutal. I'm just not a good like I'm such a casual player. I don't think about um where I'm aiming.
Oh,
It's
it's so
like center
hard.
mass
Yeah.
all the
It's
time.
like head if you got the time, center mass. Like I
Yeah.
forget to shoot at legs. Like if I
Yeah, I
have a
can't
leg
leg
up.
meta because I never think about it. As soon as I
Yeah.
see a PMC, it's like, oh, center mass, and then try to drop to the head if I got time. But
Yeah.
maybe that comes from the Mech Warrior days. We're always trying to shoot CT.
I never thought of that. We played a game that taught us to shoot center of mech. Like if you
Yes.
shot
Right down
arms,
the center
yeah.
line.
If you shot arms, it was a waste, and if you shot a leg, now you have to get rid of the other one before it's over. It was
Yeah.
always shoot center. I didn't even think of that. That's really funny. Um, so we're almost out of the podcast here, but what is your favorite moment, either like recently or so far this wipe? I've got one in particular of Chaos Incarnate, but what do you have?
Um, my favorite moment so far, I think, was when I got that last kill in Stirrup. It was me and you on customs, and we were both running pistols. We
Yeah,
ran into that guy at the bus station,
yeah,
and I've never had a fight that just lasted like that. We were running around the building, running around the buses, trying to get angles on each other. I went through 4 megs of pistol ammo,
yeah. When I
and he
died,
went
I
through
was my
all of his
last meg.
AK.
Yeah, I was on
Yeah,
my last meg when I died.
yeah, it was just a crazy fight, and me being the guy that typically loses fights, it was just crazy to win that fight with the pistol, and
Yeah,
then I get the stirrup quest on top of it. I was like, yes. And then I
the
couldn't get the body because the
yeah.
sniper scav was sitting there, and all I had is a pistol to try to take out sniper scav. I couldn't get him,
Yeah, it's
so I never did loot him.
yeah, the highs in Tarkov are incredibly high and the lows are pretty low. My favorite moment in Tarkov so far this wipe was when we were running a 5-man. Four of us with blue armbands, one with red because he's got to be different. We're all in customs in the big building with the green room. So you have the two buildings, one on each side that you can go loot. We got 2 players in the green room, and we got 3 players in the other side where there's the gun shop and like the little like lounge area in the bathroom.
Well, two of
And
us were late
getting in there.
because because one was AFK.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
I was back with him for a while, and we had just run into the building and came up the stairs
Yeah.
when the chaos started.
So Tyler and Kev were in green room side. I was with Nelson and we were on the other side. You came up on that side. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden Tyler's like, there's someone down the hall. And we're like, what's going on? And then a grenade flies past our door and blows up. So Nelson shuts the door. We're in the little lounge right by the steps that go into the middle. And just gunfires and crazy gunfires. And then Kevin gets killed because of Peeker's advantage or whatever. And he's cussing and the comms are just going effing crazy. And Tyler's like yelling at us, all right, he's in the hall, get him, he's in the hall. And the door opens and there's a guy in front of us and he's got a blue armband. I thought immediately, since Tyler was talking, it had to have been Tyler because he had a blue armband, I had a blue armband, Chris had a blue armband. I'm like,
We
okay,
were all geared the same.
we're all geared, we all looked the same. So he turns around and walks down the hallway to the left towards the gun room where all the gun parts are. Chris starts following him. I start following slowly, and Tyler's like, "Yeah, he's down the hall. He's down the hall." I'm like, "Okay." So I kind of stop at the corner of the hall, and I'm looking down, like trying to see if he's down by the bathroom. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of gunfire erupts in the room with the gun parts, where Chris and Tyler just went in. And Chris is like, "Don't shoot me! Don't shoot me! Don't shoot me!" And Josh was like, "Is that you? Is that you?" And then more gunfire, and then like, "Oh, it wasn't you." So lo and behold, I forgot that Tyler was still in the green room side. Everybody forgot that. And Josh was hiding in the gun parts room, and whoever this was person that Chris followed went into the gun parts room and then proceeded to just turn and kill them both. And then I'm
He
like,
turned and killed
what?
Chris first. I was hiding in the corner, and then Chris is yelling, "Josh, it's me! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Don't kill me!" And it wasn't me shooting him; it was the other guy that came in first. And I thought Chris was the one that came in first,
Yeah.
so I didn't fire while those two were fighting. And then he turns and tries to fight me, and I put 9 rounds of Magnum Buck into him, and he didn't go down. And then I went down.
And then he was coughing bad. I went in there and just killed him with the 8R. But I'm like, holy crap. Well, I guess our 5-man is now a 2-man. So that was my favorite little
Yeah. Well, there
story
was
from
two
the
of
wipe.
them too, wasn't there?
Yes, there was a dead one. That was the thing. I'm looking down at the bathroom.
So I think Tyler
There's a
had killed
dead
one.
guy in the hallway.
Yeah. So there's 7 PMCs in this room.
Yeah.
all with blue armbands, all with
Yes.
like class 3, class 4 armor.
Well, sorry, there was one with a red armband, but he was over in green room.
I thought he didn't start running the reds until after
Oh
that
no,
raid.
no,
I thought that was the raid that convinced him to change colors because he was
no.
so mad that we were all running blue.
I'll never forget though when Chris said, "I took my armband." Like the next raid, he's like, "I took my armband off because of that chaos," and we're like, "What the hell did you take your armband off for?" Now we're gonna shoot you. Oh well, I think we got through everything we wanted to talk about tonight. Thanks for coming to Rat Radio, the casual rat Tarkov podcast. I don't know what our description's gonna be, but hopefully we'll have many more of these to come as Tarkov wipe goes a little farther and we get more experiences and different things we can talk about and share. So thanks for stopping by.